Whoa, I got live real fast. I was still organizing myself, and then it's like, you're live. So I am still organizing myself, but welcome everyone. Welcome to the Quest Show. If you have not been here before, welcome. Thanks for coming. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel or share this video. Please give it the thumbs up. Even if you don't like people rambling, give it a thumbs up anyway. A for effort, right? Um, what else? How is everyone doing? How is everyone dealing with the news cycle, the weather? There's some storms going on in Texas. It was really cold up north. It was like 20 degrees today, while it was like, I think, in the 50s yesterday. So it's been pretty weather-wise wild. Today is the end of Black History Month. Not for me, but it is technically the end of Black History Month. Forgive me, I am still trying to get organized. I wanted to start on time. That was the big deal. I was like, you know what? I don't care. Even if I'm not organized, I am going to start on time because you know what? Who said Black people are always late? Who said that? Mary! Hey, how are you? Good. You can rock with me because I'm tired. There's just a lot going on. Mary, I know you're tired. So thank you for popping on. Mary is, her time difference is what time is it? 2 a.m. where you are? That's kind of crazy. Anyway, let's just start the show. I've done a lot of rambling just to try to do some filler so I can get organized, but we might as well go on and start. Let's see, where do we go? All right, we're gonna talk about measles again. I know for the past 2 weeks I have been talking about measles. I keep talking about measles because their key cases keep coming. Like every week, there's like a couple of more cases. So I have to continue to talk about measles. Forgive me, I am not a doctor of immunology, so I don't know everything about measles. Apparently, when I wrote about measles outbreak, a couple of people, those fake liberals out here on social media just attacked me because I don't know. I don't even know why I got attacked for giving facts about measles from the CDC, but I guess it wasn't the facts that they wanted to hear. So, disclaimer, I am not a doctor, but I'm going to just tell you what's going on in Florida with these measles. And I keep talking about it because I can foresee a problem with this. This is going to be a problem. So, you know what? Before we talk about the measles, can we just talk about Wendy's for a minute? So, Wendy's actually, did you guys hear that Wendy's wanted to do surge pricing? Did y'all hear that? You know what surge pricing is? Wendy's wanted to have like a digital menu. Well, they are going to have a digital menu, like in all of their stores. It's like this big $20 million project. Yeah, they got $20 million. What you think? They're racking in the dough, these companies. So they're going to make the menus digital. And I guess one of the CEOs in one of their meetings have mentioned something along the lines of surge pricing so that during the lunchtime hour the prices would go up, and when it wasn't lunchtime, it was like, I guess, off peak hours, the prices of your burgers would be cheaper. So everyone was just like, what? It was just like all this outrage. So don't fear, they're not going to do surge pricing. So that's I just wanted to talk about that. So back to the measles, guys. So there have been additional measles cases. So far, there have been, I think it's 7 cases linked to Manatee Bay Elementary School in Weston, Florida. There are 10 cases statewide. So actually, there's more than 7 cases. I think it started off with 7 cases from this high school. and then it ended up with a couple more, and then there was one that wasn't in the same county, but it's probably stemming from the same elementary school, but the kids are just, exposing other people to this. And one of the problems is the Florida Surgeon General. The Florida Surgeon General is Dr. Joseph Ladapo. And Mary, you should know who Joseph Ladapo is. Remember the doctor that Trump was like saying was such a great doctor because he didn't want to listen to Dr. Fauci anymore. So he got this group of doctors who were like a bunch of conspiracy theorists. And this doctor said that like COVID was the impact of demon sperm. Remember, there was like this video. If y'all haven't seen the video, just look up like Google Trump demon sperm. And then you will get the video of these doctors who Trump said were the best doctors in immunology ever. You got to listen to these guys and all of this stuff because, he wanted the fake news on COVID. So he got these doctors. So whatever the case is, the Florida Surgeon General, the guy that Ron DeSantis hired for one of the most important jobs in a state is the Surgeon General. So this guy, Dr. Joseph Ladapo, he wrote a letter last week to the health department saying that parents, hey, it's up to you. If you want to take your kids to school, because we're not shutting the school down, we already cleaned it over the weekend. Don't worry. Janet has cleaned it up. So if you want your kids to go to school, it's up to you. I defer to the parents. I don't care what the CDC said, which is 21 days after exposure, right? So if you've been exposed to the measles, the CDC recommends at least 21 days that the kid stay out of school, right? So, hey, there's a thing with the numbers that people are really upset about. If you get measles symptoms or red dots on the 18th day, no, you don't go back to school on the 21st day. The timer resets again, right? So now you have to wait again because you have been exposed. And not only are you exposed, you actually have the measles. And if you're getting the red dots and actually have the measles, you probably should call your doctor for the next steps anyway. But if you've been exposed and you don't have symptoms after 21 days, then your kid can go back to school. But what Dr. Ladapo is telling parents is use your own discretion. If you've been exposed and your kid wants to go back to school or go to the grocery store or go to a birthday party or go to McDonald's, use your discretion. You could do that if you want. That's crazy because they're actually telling you for 21 days that you should just be quarantining because that's what that means. If you've been exposed, now you need to be quarantined. But that's not happening. And that's why I keep bringing this up because this number is going to keep getting higher and higher. I'm making a joke about it, but it's not funny, right? It really isn't because there are certain things that can happen if you come down with the measles. Death is definitely one of them. You can get pneumonia, you can get encephalitis, which is the swelling of the brain. What else can you get? Pneumonia, encephalitis, there's death. There's a particular danger to pregnant people, which people keep telling me, don't forget about the pregnant people, but that's with any disease, COVID, flu, pneumonia. You don't want to be around pregnant people, but definitely not if you have measles. A couple of people told me on social media that when they were young, before measles was eradicated, it rendered them deaf. So measles is nothing to play with. So these people are not getting vaccinated. And that's the bigger point, right? The bigger point is the measles was eradicated in the United States in 2000. So that was what, 24 years ago. There was no measles in the United States. So is it a coincidence now that you have anti-vaxxers running around and now measles is creeping its head again? No, it's not a coincidence. This is why it's happening. And I will say again, if you're not getting vaccinated, you might as well not be bathing to me. You are just as nasty. I don't know why people who don't want to vaccinate their children just don't homeschool their kids. Just homeschool your kids, because the rest of us that have our children vaccinated don't want our kids around yours, because your kids are susceptible to all kinds of stuff. So that is that on measles. I hope that I don't have to come back next week and say that there are more cases, because the cases are going up. Like I said, it's 10 cases in Florida. I believe there are right now, I think it's like 15 jurisdictions that are also reporting some cases of the measles. And I think like over the years, we're up like 200 cases. So it's not a good thing. It's here. Yeah, it's getting bad. Uh yeah, that's the measles. What else is going on? Boom, boom, boom. Give me a minute. Let's get organized. Oh, I know what's going on. So, Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg is asking for a gag order in the Trump hush money case. I guess Alvin Bragg does not want us to call it the hush money case. He wants us to call it the election interference case, because that's exactly what Trump was trying to do. He was trying to interfere in his election and hide his affair with Stormy Daniels by paying her off so that she didn't talk prior to the elections, because he did not want to hurt his chances. So that's why Alvin Bragg says, hey, let's not call it the hush money case. It is the election interference case. There are 34 counts to this case. This trial is starting, I believe, March 25th. So at the end of basically this month, I know it's not March yet. Tomorrow is March, but at the end of March, that is definitely going to happen. Of course, we know why he wants a gag order, and it's interesting because he's just copying and pasting the gag order, get everyone else's gag orders, because what you really don't want in this case is Trump to be intimidating any potential jurors, intimidating court reporters, court clerks. You don't want him, you don't want the judge being threatened. On his face, that's just going to happen anyway, but you do have to put a gag order on him, which he's not going to abide by. Like, he's just going to say what he wants to say until he gets thrown in jail for running his mouth. In the gag order, Alvin Bragg cited Trump's longstanding attacks on people he considers his enemy. I mean, that's what he does. Am I right? Didn't a Judge Angaron, is that how you say his name? Didn't he just receive some strange powder in the mail that was intercepted because he doesn't open his own mail? So that was just intercepted. Like, MAGA people are nuts like nobody's business, right? And it almost seems coordinated. Like, you know what? I don't hang out on Truth Social. So I am going to just go out on a limb and say that, whenever someone like Alvin Bragg says something, or whenever like when the judges come down with their order, he goes on Truth Social and threatens people in a way that he's not actually doing the threatening, so that people know exactly what he's talking about, because it happens immediately. The minute that the judge was like, you have to pay $355 million, that's when the judge gets like this powder sent to him. So I don't know. Good luck with that gag order, man. And also I think he wants to hide the names of the jurors too. So that's another thing, because you don't want the jurors' families to be threatened either, because, well, since I am so tired. I'm trying to get through this. I am so sorry. I am so tired, and my head is all over the place right now. DA Bragg and his family have gotten 89 threats, 600 phone calls alone of racist insults and death threats. So let's see how that works. I don't know why that hasn't been granted. You know why? Because he filed that, and I believe that Trump's attorney also filed a motion objecting to the Bragg order, the gag order, saying that it was infringing on Donald Trump's freedom of speech, because apparently these people not only think that Donald Trump has immunity and can call like SEAL Team 6 to execute his enemies, he also can say whatever he wants to say whenever he wants to say it. I mean, that's how it's looking, right? So what else happened in the news? Hey, DA. What did he say? What's up? I'm just going to read my chat for a minute. The description mentions oh my goodness. I like my women with no gag order. So that's what happens in the chat. So if you're watching me right now, hey, jump in the chat because the chat's pretty funny. Let's talk about the Michigan primary takeaways. So the Michigan primaries happened. Of course, Trump won the Republican primary. Nikki Haley is still there. The interesting thing about the primary in Michigan, Nikki Haley won almost 27% of the votes, and I think that equal to like 300,000. I don't think Trump quite made it to 80%, but he was probably pretty close. I think it was in the 70s or something like that. So that was on the Republican side. Then you have Biden won 81% of his of the Democratic vote, even though he had the people who voted uncommitted. So if you haven't heard, or if you're living under a rock, or maybe in a different country, because you wouldn't know this, right? In Michigan, there was a campaign for people to write in uncommitted in protest of what is happening in Gaza. And I've talked about it a lot. Um, and it definitely is. It's just getting worse in Gaza. I don't even have words to describe it. There was a video that came out today showing a food truck and people running to the food truck, and they ended up getting trampled or ran over by the truck. Like 100 people were injured or killed. I don't know the whole story, and the story is different depending on who you're listening to. If you're listening to the Israelis, they're saying something totally different. If you're listening to Palestinians, they're saying something totally different. The truth is somewhere in between, but that's not even the point, because the point is those people are they're starving, the children are dying, and that's the bigger point. So people that are upset about that voted uncommitted because they're upset with Biden and the way Biden is handling this. And I just feel like there's just so many layers to this. I can't even, I'm too tired to go into all of the layers. But about 13% of the people voted in Michigan uncommitted, which, you know, and watch how I say, I guess it's not bad, right? It's not bad. It didn't put too much of a dent. It didn't put any dent in Biden's support, basically, because he got 81%. The uncommitted vote was 13%. Obama, they voted uncommitted when he ran in 2012, and that was 11%. So they're saying 13% is not a bad thing. But the bad thing happens is that this war may get worse. So the administration, although I do not blame them for this war, because it is not Biden's fault, I think that there are things at work that we don't understand. There are moving parts that we don't understand. I don't think there are certain things that we can just say, hey, why don't you just do this? Hey, I don't think any of these decisions are as easy as people on the outside make it seem. I think that if you understand who Biden and this administration is, then you would know that he's probably doing everything that he can, incrementally to solve this problem. Because if you've paid attention to politics for a while, because sometimes I think it's new voters, but if you've paid, and I haven't even paid attention for that long, but it's been long enough to see how administrations work, especially Democratic administrations. It seems like everything is really thought out, all the consequences of whatever actions. It's not full speed ahead. We're just running in and this is what we're going to do. I think things are incremental and really thought out. And I think that's what's going on here. I have full confidence that at some point, it's just going to be stepped up what we're doing. These, especially after what happened today with these people who just wanted food. There's been talk about the administration trying to drop food into Gaza for people, some type of humanitarian aid, because the peace talks are crumbling or have crumbled. It's a lot going on. So, but the thing about, so that's Biden, right? And I think he's still doing good, right? 80% of the vote. Biden got 81% of his vote of Democrats. Trump got 70 something. That should concern Trump too, right? People keep saying, oh, the Democrats should be nervous. I kind of think the Republicans need to be nervous right now, because Haley keeps pulling in that 27, 30%, 40 in South Carolina, although I understand that she was the former governor there. Trump is not gaining anyone. He's not picking anyone up. If anything, a few people may be like, this, he's just too much for me. He brings too much baggage, right? So hopefully that's the case. And let's just stop here for a minute and say this. We keep depending on a lot of things to happen to Trump, court, trials, convictions. Um, we just really have to focus on voting and not his convictions and not his cases. I know there was a time we were just like waiting with our fingers crossed, waiting for him to be indicted, like, waiting for the Friday, because it was like every Friday something was going on and we just couldn't wait. But now it's like there's so many obstacles and we just need everything to go right before this man even gets convicted. So our saving grace is going to be us going to the polls to make sure that Donald Trump does not get into the White House. That's why I personally, that uncommitted vote makes me very nervous. Even if you're saying uncommitted just for this, just for the primaries, and then, for the general, you have to vote for Biden. But that's not what I hear with a lot of these uncommitted people. I don't think that they're going to turn around and be like, you know what? I'm going to vote for Biden. And that's why it's so dangerous. And Brian and I talked about it on the Black and White show on Tuesday. It's one thing, and the feelings are very valid. Like, I'm not saying that anyone's feelings are valid. I am not Palestinian. So if I was Palestinian, my feelings would probably be totally different on this thing. Like, it may be. But then I would also think that I'd be like, okay, I'm a Palestinian in America. I'm a Palestinian in America and I'm a woman. There's a lot going on here too. So I was very disappointed to hear Beto telling people to write in uncommitted. I knew what's her name? Rashid, Congresswoman Rashid. I know that she would be telling them to do that, which is still very dangerous because these two people really understand what's at stake with Donald Trump. I don't think a lot of people understand it, especially when you have people saying we can deal with the 4 years, because they think that Donald Trump's next 4 years will be like his last 4 years, right? Those 4 years they were bad, but we got through it. His next 4 years, he's not going to leave the White House, so it won't be 4 years. They're going to drag him out there in a coffin because he's not going to leave. He ain't going to leave till he's dead, and then he may not even leave them because he may have them froze his old decrepit body in some type of tank. So it's like, I'm just still not dead. It's just gonna freeze him. Was it cryogenically frozen? Like they're just gonna do that to him. He's not leaving the White House. Today, a Republican senator voted against lifting that IVF thing. It's like they don't want women to get IVF. Like they're still blocking that. These women still cannot get their embryos. Well, so what do we think is going to happen with a Republican president? We can deal with that for 4 years. That's what we want to deal with for 4 years. Women dying? That's cool. That's what we can deal with. Just women dying. Women walking around with dead babies, or dead fetuses, women having miscarriages and then being arrested, right? The woman in Ohio, she was very fortunate that the grand jury did not want to indict her. With a Republican president, they are definitely going to put laws in place to make sure that if you have a miscarriage, if it's something that you did, you're going to go to jail. That is what's going to happen. Trust and believe that. Miscarriages will be illegal. Traveling, you hear some states talking about bounty hunters, and you tell on somebody, someone who traveled, you'll get a $10,000 reward if you turn them in, or if you turn in the doctor who referred them to an abortion clinic outside of the state. That's what we're going to get with a Donald Trump. You think you're going to get a border that's fixed. That is not going to happen, because apparently some people think that the border has a door somewhere along there, and when you shut the door, it just closes the whole border. It doesn't make any sense. Then you have people saying, hey, Biden can do an executive order to close the border. Well, what money? When you do an executive order, you're not even getting any money. I don't know how anyone wants 4 years of Trump. Like, just to hear him for 10 minutes giving a rambling racist speech is enough for anyone to handle, let alone 4 years of his nonsense that's going to kill a lot of Americans. Like, it's just ridiculous. Do better. So anyway, talking about Trump and his racist rants, I guess because it happened, so I am going to talk about it. Did y'all hear that Trump called Melania Mercedes? That was weird, right? I mean, but how weird could it be when he thought that E. Jean Carroll was Ivana? So I guess calling her a car is not weird at all. Why not? So let's see. Let's go over Trump's greatest hits from his last Klan rally that he disguised as a Black conservative event, where he said, I can only see the Black ones. That's how far I come. because I guess it was bright in the room, so he didn't see the white people. He saw the black ones. That's him coming far. He said, I've come far. So that I guess that means like I never used to see y'all, but I see you now. I look how far I've come. Let's see. He also said, I'm up here rapping, you guys. I'm up here rapping to you guys. He's up here. He's rapping. It's like he must have said to like his whoever writes the stupid speeches. If anyone's writing, they're like, "Give me some black phrases. What do the blacks say? Don't they like rapping? Right? Rapping? Yeah, they like rapping. Yeah, write that. This is like I'm up here rapping to you guys. Like, what the hell? He goes, black people are so much on my side. Black people really like Trump. I built a lot of buildings. Black people are great workers. My favorite color is black. I'm being indicted for you, black people. Black people are walking with my mugshot. I mean, yeah. You can't make this up, but you also can't be surprised. It's like Trump's racism is on loop. It's always there. And this is so crazy because this Black Conservative Federation event that he was with, when they panned out to the crowd, that is all white. The only reason he saw the black person because it was the only black person in the sea of white because it wasn't any black people there. And here's the thing. Trump is a con man and he's a liar. And he likes to gaslight people. Republicans gaslight people. So as like they want you to think that black people love them. Black people are on his side. I'm at this black conservative event and listen to the crowd. They love me. The blacks love me. So it's like they're trying to gaslight any black person that will fall for this so they can think like they're not the only one. You know what? You are the only one if you're following around this imbecile because he's a liar. It's like if he's got two black people in the back of him holding up, blacks for Trump, they're crisis actors. They're not even for Trump. The people in his audience were probably actors. Like, seriously, we know that is what Donald Trump does. They found that out at some of his rallies. Remember, they were busing people in. The reporters spotted that. They saw people getting off of buses to go into and these were not people who were traveling from somewhere else to go see Trump's rallies. No, they were actors that they were hiring. So don't tell me that he's got all this black support. Yeah, he's got the 8%, the Ben Carsons, the Vernon Jones, the Byron Donalds, the few black people that want to make money, because it's not even like they're not supporting Trump. They're supporting themselves. Tim Scott is not supporting Donald Trump. Tim Scott don't give a hoot about Donald Trump. He just wants to kiss as much of Donald Trump's ass as he can because he wants to be vice president. He will do anything to raise up in the Republican Party. He will do anything to rub shoulders with the good old boys. It's not about Donald Trump per se. He doesn't love this man. He loves what this man represents. He wants to get close to what he thinks that is, which is power. But he don't like that man. And for Donald Trump to be out here gaslighting the Black community like we're some goddamn idiots. Like, oh, I have some gold sneakers. Blacks like the gold sneakers. Like, are Republicans this stupid? Or they're just like, yeah, we really don't care. We're just gonna say whatever. We're just gonna gaslight whoever. And you know what it is? It's almost like they want to make the white people think that the Black people are supporting Trump shit, right? Like maybe if independents thought that, well, wait a minute, the Black people are maybe it's not so bad if they're forgiving of him. I don't know. Like it's the racism heard around the world, man. They don't care. I'm up here rapping to you guys. That shit is hilarious. The sneakers are hilarious. Like he was just on a Black kick. They were just like pander to the Black people, and he was just like, I see Black people. I can see the Black people. The Black people on my side. The Black people love my mugshot because you know they're always in jail. Meanwhile, I mean, does he think that Black people actually forgot what he did to Shay Moss and Lady Ruby? He basically called them drug dealers. He said they were passing around a USB port like it was vials of heroin. He and Rudy. Did we forget that? Did we forget about Central Park 5? We just supposed to be like, yeah, Trump's the best because he made some gold shoes that probably don't have any arch support in them? That's what's going on right now? And excuse me, Fat Joe, why? Fat Joe's out here. I had to get these sneakers. I didn't pay for them, but people know that I'm a sneakerhead, so I had to get these sneakers. Well, if you had to get these sneakers, why did you have to make a video saying that you had to get the sneakers? Why do we have to know that? Why are you co-signing this nonsense? It's like Snoop, Ice Cube, now Fat Joe. Like, what is wrong with you? These men of color are continuously disappointing us. Like, that's crazy. Now, those are the people, instead of attacking me for not using my platform the way you think I should be using my platform, how about attacking these people? They're not using their platforms the way they should be using their platforms. They have a huge following, but we're going to tamp down the danger of Donald Trump to the Black community and all other marginalized communities. And not even just our communities. He's freaking danger to society, to the world. Not even just America, just to the world. The only one he's not a danger to is Putin. That's it. Yep, Fat Joe too. Crazy. Hey, Michelle. Let's see. What else happened? Oh, alrighty. So, I was thinking this week after the IVF situation in Alabama, and just do know that Alabama is the first state. It's not going to be the last state. It's going to travel like wildfire. Alabama was the tester. They tested that in Alabama. Like, it's just if you didn't know it was about control, then you know that it's about control now, because it's definitely not about babies, right? Like, people with common sense knew that it was never about babies, that it was about power, and it was about control, and it was about white nationalism, Christian nationalism. Really, let's tamp it. Let's narrow it down, because it's really about the Christian nationalism, because that's what they want to combat. That's a part of it. They want Christian nationalism in the schools. That's why they want PragerU to rewrite history and give us a whole type of Christian way of educating children. They want it in libraries, right? Like they want the Christian books in the libraries, nothing outside of that. And which is interesting because you would think Christians would want you to have the babies, right? But I guess if your Christian nationalism is about something different, because I don't know, white ladies, you out here voting for Donald Trump, and look where that got you, right? Because, we do a lot of focusing on black men. Who black men vote for? We need the black men vote, right? That's a different conversation. But, black men showed up for Biden, right? We did the numbers before. I don't recall them now, but they did show up. Black women, overwhelming, right? There's no problem here. We're not the problem. White men are the problem, and white women are the problem. It's not black people. We're always forgotten in the conversations, but we always show up. So that's an issue that needs to be addressed, right? You definitely need to go into the barbershops, into the hoods, and talk to the black community, and don't take that vote for granted, because if you don't have the vote, you're going to be in trouble. But we're not the problem, because we always show up when we're supposed to show up. It's the white women. And white women are now seeing that, wow, these things are impacting us too. There was this Christian couple, didn't believe in abortion until they were faced with a fetus that was not going to be born alive. And the longer her pregnancy went on, the sicker this woman got. This Christian who didn't believe in abortion. Now she needed an abortion, and she couldn't get one. They had to leave the state. They had to flee the state. These things don't have some type of radar to be like, I'm only going to impact Democratic women's, like that's stupid, right? Now you have all these women who are waiting for IVF who can't get IVF just because like Republicans just have to go that extra. They got to be more cruel in the name of Christianity, in the name of religion. But this has been their MO since enslavement. Yeah, I'm gonna beat you, Toby. I'm gonna beat you. You can't escape. This is what God wanted. God wanted you to be enslaved. God wanted me to impregnate you, to rape you. That's what God wants. In the name of Christianity, these people have always been cruel in the name of religion. And that's exactly what they're trying to bring back. It's the cruelty. Cruelty is the purpose. But that's how dictators rule, right? With cruelty. Have you heard of like a nice dictator? Is there a nice dictator somewhere? I don't know. Was Napoleon a nice guy? Genghis Khan, was he nice? Like, were these people nice? Are autocrats nice? Is Putin a nice guy? They're not nice guys. So what these stupid Republican voters talking about, I don't mind if he's a dictator on day one. We need someone to come and straighten out the country. Dictators are not nice guys. They're not going to have your best interest. They're dictators. Like, what dictator is going, you know what we should do today? Feed the hungry. Who's doing that? Oh, it's pretty unbelievable. Good night. What's that? Got to go. See you later, Mary. It's pretty unbelievable. So I was just thinking about the abortion bans, now the bans on IVF, which is separate from the abortion ban. That's why this is just crazy, but it's just an impact of getting rid of Roe. And then you have all these things that fall under the umbrella. So that's why we said, yo, this is dangerous, because not only is it going to impact IVF, it's going to impact birth control. That's just about gone. I think Clarence Thomas had already brought that up. They're going to attack birth control. They're going to attack the abortion pill. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Because that's the federal government. That's the mail. So if you have a Republican running government, that's going to stop. The abortion pills are not going to be able to be mailed. The post office is the federal government. That's going to be gone. Ladies, don't be surprised if you can't have hysterectomies. They won't let you have a hysterectomy unless there's some type of tumor or something on your uterus or something. Because why would they do that? They want babies, right? We heard Tommy Tuberville said, we want the babies. We want the babies. So you won't be able to have a hysterectomy unless your doctor is probably saying it's a life and death situation. She needs to have a hysterectomy. Her uterus needs to be removed. Outside of that, you're probably just not going to be able to have it removed. You got fibroids on it, they'll take the fibroids off before they remove your uterus. Watch it. Watch. Like we can't say at this point that that's never going to happen. We can't say that. We can't say that we can have 4 years of Donald Trump and come out on the other side. We can't say that, because we know that we can't. That is impossible. We're not going to come out unscathed. And that the damage that he is going to do for the years that he is in there until he dies, it's almost going to be, we're not going to be able to repair it. Because what he's going to do, if he doesn't get rid of the Supreme Court, he's going to make sure that the older judges retire now, and then they're going to put in more young radical judges that go straight by the Bible, just like this judge in Alabama when they halted the IVF. His whole ruling was based on the Bible. The embryos were made, in the image of man. Like, it was just all Bible. Not everyone's a Christian. There's Muslims. This is America. This is a diverse land. And the audacity to say it should just be straight Christian is really privileged. And you could just, it's got just I always go back because it just always reminds me of enslavement. That's what that reminds me of. And that's what they want. It's almost like they just started reading those books back then. Or maybe it's innate. Maybe it's an innate way of being, that's what they're doing. It's just innate. They can't help it. They're not even thinking like, let's go back in time. It's just something that they're drawn to. Fearful of a more diverse world. Yeah. We got to vote. We have to vote. Yeah. I do have some good news. What time is it? Good news. So the Albert Einstein College of Medicine in the Bronx just announced plans to be tuition free for their medical students. Yay! That's amazing. They received a $1 billion, I said $1 billion, a $1 billion donation from a former professor, Dr. Ruth Gottsman. I guess she inherited a lot of money from her husband as well. And she donated $1 billion to this school. This is among the largest of the donations to date to an educational institution in the United States. The most recent class are made up of New Yorkers, 59% New Yorkers, made up of majority women and people of color. I'm just so happy for these people because we need diverse doctors, um, especially now. And I'm just really surprised that anyone wants to be a doctor at this point. But the sad thing about what the Republicans are doing, and it is sad, and we do make fun of states like Alabama, we make fun of states like Mississippi. But it's sad for the people that do live in these states, right? A lot of these people, you can't help where you're born. You know, your parents are here, you're born here, then your family's here. Everyone cannot just pick up and say, hey, I'm leaving and going north. um, because how can you even afford that, right? So again, we do laugh about these states, but it's definitely sad because doctors are leaving the states because they're having a hard time practicing. You have teachers who may have partners, they may be gay. If you're in those states where you can't say gay, you know, you're leaving that state. If you have the capacity to do so, you're just going to leave. If you have a trans child, you're afraid for your child. We see what happens to these kids, right? They're bullied into suicide, or you know, they're beat to death. We see what's happening to these kids. No one's going to want their kids to be under those conditions. So these people too are picking up and leaving these states. um Not only are there like food deserts, right? Not grocery stores anywhere near, but you don't have any GYN clinics anywhere. These people can't even get care. That's why the maternal mortality rate is so high, because there are no doctors, right? So kudos to these medical students that are getting free tuition, but where do you think that they're gonna practice medicine? They're not going to Mississippi. They're probably gonna stay in New York or go to Massachusetts or Connecticut, or they're not going to Mississippi and Alabama. And that's what makes me sad because, you know, despite the crazy MAGAs who vote against their best interests, there are children there. The seventh grader in Mississippi who was raped outside of her yard and was forced to carry and deliver a baby in seventh grade. She's got a baby, right? So, yeah, we laugh, but it's not funny. It's not funny at all, because they have to stay and suffer. So until all of us have the same rights, you know, until all of us can access this medical care, until all of us can get IVF, you know, none of us are free. None of us are safe. That's why sitting it out is not an option. Writing uncommitted is not an option when our children here are suffering. I just read, and then I'm going to close it out because we're nearing 9 o'clock. But I just read about the foster care system that's already overburdened. Um, is becoming more, right? Remember Coney Barrett? Remember when they were doing the hearings on whether to keep Roe or not? And she said that no, we don't need Roe because we have safe haven laws. And you know, the safe haven laws are you can drop your baby off at a fire station or a police station or a hospital without any consequence, right? Um, and where do those kids go? Like the stork doesn't come and get them and take them to somewhere where they can be saved and loved on. That's not how they work. You drop that baby off, that baby goes into the foster care system. That's how that works. You know, she made it seem like it was some great thing. It's not a great thing because right now there are 400,000 kids in foster care every year. And there's 200,000 that are waiting to be adopted. Every year, there's like 17,000 kids that age out. Right. You age out at 18. You're done. Every state is different. Here in Massachusetts, we had a child. We had a foster child. So here in Massachusetts, when you age out, they do give you benefits, right? You get your housing vouchers, you can go to school for free, but you're still a kid. You still need guidance, right? So if you don't have a foster parent like me who continues to stay in your life and and give you advice here and there, then you have nothing. And this is what they prefer you do rather than making the decisions early on when you know that you're not stable enough to bring a child into the world. They want you to bring the child into the world, put it in foster care so it can go from foster home to foster home. We all know that the majority of children in foster home have poor outcomes as adults. They're often uneducated, undereducated, abused. They have a hard time getting jobs. They're emotionally scarred. They have a hard time socializing. There's so many issues, and this is what they want us to do. That's more humane, right? We want the babies. That's what Tommy Tuberville said. We want the babies. It's more humane to Republicans to have these babies and not be able to afford these babies because God knows Republicans are not going to help you. They don't even want your babies to have free food over the summer. They don't even want your babies to have free food. That's wild. We can't do 4 more years or four additional years of Donald Trump. We just can't. We honestly need a do-over. We need to educate our voters and make sure they understand. I am glad that Joseph Biden and the Biden administration is on TikTok. So hopefully, they can get their message to some young people because it's y'all's future. Honestly, if Donald Trump becomes president, I was talking about this the other day with DA. We're gonna be okay. I'm not having any more babies. I'm not gonna go through IVF. So who's it going to impact? It's going to impact young people. You know, what's happening in Gaza it's unbelievably important, and I hope the administration does what they can and speaks loudly about their opposition to Netanyahu. But I also know that right here and right now, we're in trouble because I didn't talk about it, but the Supreme Court has taken up the Trump's immunity plea or motion or whatever you want to call it. Right. It took so long. It took them 2 weeks after Trump appealed to the Supreme Court. Because remember, it's all about the case in DC. It's the J6 case in DC. That was supposed to go on. Trump filed a motion saying that he is immune. He's immune from this. He shouldn't have to because he could do whatever he wants while president, after presidents, until eternity, right? So the appeals court heard it. They said, you're not immune. You're citizen Trump, right? And it's funny because Jack Smith wanted to skip them and go straight to the Supreme Court to have the Supreme Court rule on it. But the Supreme Court wouldn't take it for some reason. Why didn't they take it? Because they're taking it now, right? They could have just taken it. Now you wasted 2 weeks, right? Now you're like, oh, we'll take it, but we're not going to hear arguments until April. I think it was April 22nd or something like that. We're not going to hear arguments until the end of April. So you've waited 2 weeks. Now we have to wait almost 2 months. Now remember, this case was scheduled for March, but she had to take it. Judge Chetkin had to take that off of the schedule. So now she's just kind of like in a waiting period, because we have to wait until the Supreme Court actually rules on whether Trump can execute his adversaries with SEAL Team 6 because he's immune or not. I mean, so on one side, they didn't have to take it because it was already ruled upon. He's not immune. But then, if this was a real court and we didn't all suspect that they were being complicit in helping Trump delay this as much as they can before making the decision, we would say, okay, it's understandable that a Supreme Court will want to rule on this so they can just go on and make it the law, so that this doesn't come up again, that no, you're not immune, and here's why. But they waited the 2 weeks. So it's not like obviously it wasn't that urgent for them to do it, because they waited 2 weeks and now they're going to put 2 months on top of the 2 weeks. And then once the oral arguments are heard, which is, like I said, April 22nd, you would want them to rule on it like right away, right, in May. But that's probably not going to happen because the end of the session is in June. So why would they rule in May when they can just do it at the end of the session? June. So they're probably going to wait until June before they even give an answer to that. And that's really putting us really close, because I also heard that Judge Chutkan had already guaranteed Trump's attorneys that he would have at least 7 months to prepare for trial. So if they rule in June and say that Trump is not immune, which they should, they can't say that he is not immune. Like I always have this but in the back of my head, like you can't even trust them anymore to do the right thing. Like, can you imagine Clarence Thomas saying he's not immune? Like, Clarence Thomas is probably going to be like the sole dissenter. He's going to be like, he's immune from certain things. And that was in the course of his, because this is what Thomas is going to say. What Donald Trump did on J6 was in the course of his presidential duties, and it makes him immune. That's what Clarence Thomas is going to say. But let's do the math. So if they decide in June that Trump is not immune, and Judge Chutkan gives him 7 months to prepare for trial. So let's just say June, July, August, September, October, November, December. What the hell? Like, when's the trial going to be? Like, that doesn't even, she can't even give him 7 months, can she? Yeah. I don't know. That's why I said we have to vote. We have to vote. We cannot depend on any of this. We just have to vote, right? Because we already know, even if he's found guilty of one of these felonies in the Bragg case that's coming up in March, he's still going to run. He's not going to stop. It doesn't matter if Trump is found guilty or not. He's going to keep going. Do we think he's going to get jail time for any of this anyway? Nah, he's not. Anyway, I'm sorry that I did a lot of rambling tonight. It's just been, look what I look like, tired. Always tired, but even more tired today. I will try to be more organized next week. Biden went to the border wall. I don't know what happened because I didn't get a chance to watch the news today. So I don't know what happened at the border wall. I know Trump was at another part of the border. So there were dueling border walls today. Anyway, thank you everyone for popping up. Mary, I know she's gone. Michelle, thank you for coming on. I know you're tired, girl. I'll talk to you later. DA is gone, but thanks for popping on for a minute. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you again, Michelle. Good to see you. Call me, girl. Call me. Bye.